What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name is Greg Wave. So what I have for you guys today is some tips on full-time driving. I'm personally not a full-time driver anymore, but I was doing pretty solid with it when I was. So I'm going to give you guys some tips for being a full-time driver and how you can really crush it. I will say I don't recommend ever being a full-time driver unless it's very short term, like you're transitioning between jobs and you have 2 weeks off. Or maybe you work a contracted job where you're like 3 months on, 3 months off, and you want to do some full-time weeks in there. But do not do it full-time throughout the span of a year. Not worth your time, not worth your money. It's just going to be a hassle. But the very most important thing is, and I've said this about part-time driving, but this is like a million times more important now as a full-time driver, is track every single expense. Because doing this full time, you will have a ton of things that you need to write off at the end of the year. And if you don't take care of that, you're going to be owing a lot of money. So you really need to be tracking all your expenses, your miles, if you're buying drinks while you're out, any kind of car cleaning stuff, phone mounts, anything you can write off. There's a lot of really good articles online about just knowing what you can and can't write off. So make sure you look into that stuff and get really educated on it. Number two is having an unlimited data plan is very, very important. So Gig Mobile is a great program. It's $12.50 a week for unlimited data, and it's specifically geared for Uber and Lyft drivers. So definitely look into that, guys. You're talking roughly $50 a month. And for unlimited data, that's a hell of a deal. Number three is driving for both apps. If you're a full-time driver, you're making just a huge mistake if you only run one app. Huge mistake. You have to maximize every second of your day as a full-time driver. Run Uber and Lyft. I don't care if you hate one or the other. I know so many people that despise Uber with like every cell in their body, but you're not going to do well driving full-time just for Lyft, and you might do decent with Uber, but the best way is maximize your time with both apps. Number four is just, if it's not working, stop. Don't force this, because the thing about Uber and Lyft is it hasn't gotten better and better over time. It's gotten worse over time. So if you're not doing well as a full-time driver, find something else, because it's not the type of thing that, like, maybe if you keep working with it, you'll figure it out. If you're driving peak hours and hitting those Friday and Saturday nights and it's not working, there's just nothing else you can do. Okay? And it just is what it is. So if it's not working for you, just quit. Find something better to do. And number five is just stop complaining. And I kind of wanted to use this with the last point, because I know so many people that just constantly moan and complain about this. And I'm kind of like, why are you still doing it? Because there's a lot of people that really enjoy it. As a part-time driver, I really enjoy it. It's a great gig. I don't mind the small amount of, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what that was. Weird notification on my phone. But as a part-time driver, like, I have had no complaints. I did stress and complain a lot as a full-time driver, but as part-time, it's honestly been a breeze. So if you're not enjoying it, either switch it up and go part-time or find something else. But it's like, I just see it all the time on the internet of all these people that are just whining and whining and whining. I'm like, oh my God, then go do something else. No one cares. Number six is taking breaks. I wanted to put this point in there specifically because for me, meditation is a really big thing, and I meditate in between a lot of my rides. I do a lot of guided meditations, or I'm a big fan of binaural beats. And this is a really, really big thing. At least for me, it has been. Like, it's all the difference in me staying really relaxed throughout my day, and not wigging out about not getting enough rides or whatever it is. And it also keeps me just in a really good mood, which obviously helps when you're, talking to people all day. So I'm not a religious person. I don't really know anything about the science of meditation or what it is, but I would say it's worth checking out if you do this, because just like a 5-minute meditation in between rides a few times a day is, I'm just like willing to guarantee you that you're gonna see a noticeable change in how you feel. Number 7 is being productive. If you're a full-time driver, you're gonna have a lot of dead time in between rides. You're gonna be doing airport rides a lot. You'll be in the airport queue. So be really productive with that time. Obviously I've talked about podcasting and audiobooks. I'm a big fan of like TED Talks. Like I love listening to TED Talks, and I just feel like I'm furthering my self-education that way. I do a lot of writing and journaling, and I like writing movie scripts. So a lot of times I write scripts. I go over my dialogue because I do a lot of acting. So find a way that you can utilize some of that downtime, because if you're just sitting there each day, not only will you get really bored, you'll start to feel really unproductive, and you'll start to really not want to do this anymore. So for me, even when I have slow days, I feel like I still got a lot done because I'm getting a lot done in my car. And that's another way it's going to make it easier on your mind to keep doing this. Oh, man. Let's see. The next one is always be ready to move on. The reason I say that is because Uber and Lyft will always do their own thing. And I'm going to give you a little PSA. They don't give a rat's ass about any of us. Okay? They can give all their little sweet emails out about, we're about the drivers, and the one I hate, I don't know how many of you drive that actually watch these videos versus being new drivers, but if you're an experienced driver, I know you've seen this email, and it's my least favorite one. It's always like, you asked and we listened, and it's like a rate cut. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, because we wanted you to cut our rates. So don't buy into this thing that they care about you and they care about you having a long-term career. They don't give a damn. And as soon as they figure out how to have robot drivers and automated cars, I promise you, you will be canned faster than you can blink. So be ready to move on. Have some plan. Have a long-term plan. For me, I have a sales job that I work about 20 hours a week. I also do a lot of acting. So if Uber and Lyft stopped, I just am even more intense on my sales job. That's all it looks like for me. I have a great backup plan where if they removed it today, I'd be totally fine. I recommend the same thing because I don't personally think anything like that will happen in the next 3 years. But in the next 5 to 10, I think there will. So depending on how long you do this, you gotta really be ready to have a backup plan. All right. The next one is having effective goals set. Especially if you're a full-time driver, you should have a clear-cut goal of what you want to make each week, and you should have a somewhat good idea of how much you need to work to hit it. If it's 40 hours even, great. Maybe it's 50. But you got to know what you got to put in. When I was a full-time driver, here's what I honestly saw. If I really wanted to take care of all of my bills, I had to do 55 hours. Sometimes 60. I have done 170 week, and I have done an 80-hour week before. That's sometimes what it takes to make it full-time in this. So if you can't work long hours like that, don't do it, because you might have one week where you pay everything in 40 hours easily. You will have weeks where once it's Thursday, you're going to realize you need to put in 35 more hours, and you've already done 30. So you need to be okay with that. You need to know that as a full-time driver, because you don't have a set paycheck you're making each week. It is up to you to work your ass off to figure out what you need to make. Number 10 is driving a used vehicles. One of the dumbest things you could do for this is buy a brand new vehicle. Do not buy a brand new car and drive it for Uber and Lyft. That is so dumb. Buy a used vehicle or rent. No other options. All right. Let's see. I don't even know what number I'm on, but the next one is bringing your own food. I've said this before, and I will always live by this. I always bring my own food because it's just a waste of money. Even if you're just doing fast food, those fast food meals end up being like $6-7 a pop. And when you really boil that down to like, versus you spending $200 or $100 in a week on groceries and packing your lunches, the better deal is always going to be packing your meals. Okay? So, yeah, it's just going to be a waste of money on your part. And my last tip is rent a vehicle. As a full-time driver, you know I said earlier that use a used vehicle. That's just if you're going to use a vehicle that you own. But honestly, if you're a full-time driver, you should absolutely rent. Here's why. All the maintenance is taken care of, and you will have a ton of maintenance on your car if you drive full-time. You will be getting an oil change probably once a month, maybe every, 6 weeks. But for the most part, what I saw is I was getting an oil change once a month. Okay? So if you're renting the vehicle instead, you're gonna be getting all those oil changes for free. Anytime you need new tires, it's free. New brakes, free. Whatever you can think of, they're gonna take care of. You're also gonna hit all the bonuses easily for getting that rental cost reduced like a good amount. The only time I don't recommend doing that is if you're in a market where you absolutely have to drive both apps, then I wouldn't rent the vehicle, because if you're just renting from one of them, it's going to make it tough. If you do have to choose one, I would probably go Uber. I haven't done the rental program, but in general, Uber has a lot more ride requests than Lyft, depending on the market though. So that's what I got for you guys. Like I said, I don't recommend full-time driving, but if you are going to do it, this is the way to do it with these things that I've listed. So let me know how it goes, guys. Be sure to ask me any questions in the comments that you have, and I will see you guys soon.